It is always nice when a company takes feedback to heart. While I love my HexGaming Rival Pro controller, it had a number of notable downsides. I can't swap trigger stops, there is only one profile, it looks bad with only a couple hours of use, and other minor annoyances like not working with the charging station. So, when HexGaming revealed Phantom, I was cautiously optimistic. At first glance, it seemingly corrected most of the issues I had with Rival Pro. However, with so many products sounding better on paper than in practice, is it one of the best Pro controllers on the market, or is there still room for improvement? Before getting into the review itself, let's start by unboxing Phantom. In addition to the base model, which comes with slightly different packaging, there is a version that includes a 13-foot braided USB-A to USB-C cable and carrying case. For the most part, the case is what you'd expect. It is a hard shell with a place for the controller and thumbsticks. That said, there are two things I like about the design. The first is the entire top is covered by a mesh pocket. I can easily throw a cable, some true wireless headphones, with plenty of room for other things. It is a lot nicer than a lot of my other cases. For example, look at my knock-on case. It has a small pouch that can barely hold a single cable. I also have one from OtterBots. It is a much nicer case overall, though it suffers greatly from being designed around the short-lived product line. That is why it includes this weird middle gap that was put in to accommodate their mobile gaming clip. Despite this, it can still hold a cable on either side, but I wouldn't trust it with anything else. This is also nice since controllers are generally the same size and shape. In addition to Phantom, it works pretty well with pretty much any controller. As for the cable, it is nice quality and quite long. So long I'm actually not going to try and show it all, it just makes a big mess. Regardless of model, this one comes with a calibration tool, one plastic multifunctional tool, 8 thumbsticks, and some thumbstick rings. I'll be perfectly honest, I initially laughed at the idea of using rings until I looked at my Rival Pro. After roughly 2 years of use, there are some very clear indents on those thumbsticks themselves. So yeah, that actually seems like a useful inclusion. The thumbsticks are also quite nice. They have various heights and configurations to match whatever need you may have. On a basic level, Phantom is essentially just a DualSense modified to have a couple additional features. As a result, the core experience should be familiar. At least if you enjoy the DualSense, you'll almost certainly feel the same way about Phantom. That said, there are a few things I wanted to highlight, the first being the design itself. Most of the designs are pretty straightforward. My first Phantom was in black and it's just that, an all-black controller. After they revealed the Explorer Edition, I was fortunate enough to get one of those, and it looks really nice in person. I appreciate a lot of the small touches, such as making almost all of the controller transparent. Even the included thumbsticks are clear and match the overall aesthetic. Seriously, it looks so much nicer than a good number of clear controllers that I have seen over the years. The only thing I don't like is the plastic is frosted, so it's harder to make out the internal components. To make this easier to understand, here's what my BidBid 1 Rainbow controller looks like. As you can see, it's really easy to see the internal components. Obviously, this is personal preference, though there was one benefit to the Explorer Edition that I hadn't considered before: lighting. Both the microphone mute and back profile buttons really illuminate the controller. It's something I think looks a lot better than a standard DualSense. Just note, it's a little harder to see due to all the lighting in this video. At the time of posting, HexGaming also revealed Orochi. This is the first Phantom controller with an actual design. While I do not have one, and will likely not review it either, I wanted to highlight it because of my experience with Rival Pro. Back when I got my Rival Pro, it happened to have a Greek design. After 2 years of use, the front-facing design has virtually no signs of use. Outside of a small speck on the bottom, plus some chipping near the buttons, it looks the same as the day I got it. So I personally have faith in the design, or one of the future lasting long term. That said, the same is not true for the back. Almost immediately, the back gained an off-putting burgundy tint. Seriously, I had the controller for less than 2 days and started seeing it. It was actually so bad this and another product are why I stopped storing tech reviews 2 or so years ago. It is also why my first Phantom was in black, as I hoped the black color would fare better. I mean, just look at how bad it looks after an indeterminate amount of use. Even after cleaning it with alcohol, something HexGaming suggested doing, it still looks pretty bad. Anyway, Phantom uses a different type of rubber that seems to be more resistant to this type of wear. I have easily put $500 into this Phantom. Honestly, it could even be over $1,000. I really don't want to do the math and reflect on it, and things are only starting to become apparent. That said, as gross as it sounds, I did not clean this section specifically because of my previous experience. I legitimately wanted to know how it would hold up, as I would be positively mortified paying close to $200 for a controller that looked bad in a week. Curiously, I used the black one for roughly the same period of time. It works out to being something like 6 months with the black one and then 6 months with the white one, so it should be pretty comparable in terms of wear. This is also how I estimated use. You figure that's 26 weeks, so it comes out to be in, 520 if I play for 20 hours a week. I honestly believe I do 40, so that's 1,040. But again, I really don't want to reflect on it. I actually think the black one shows more wear, though it's far less apparent. I know this sounds weird, but it isn't as overt as the red color. It just looks like some parts are missing their finish. Similar things also occur with the thumbsticks. The wear is slightly more apparent with the gray color, though these can easily be replaced at any time. Regardless, I will say I've used a HexGaming controller almost every day for the past 3 years and have yet to have any serious issues. The closest was some slight drift on the black one, which was corrected through the DRIFIX module. This is actually the main highlight of HexGaming's Phantom line. The entry-level version includes their Hex Drift module, with the step-up featuring Hell Effect joysticks. Both versions can be calibrated so they can better combat drift, with the process being a bit different. With DRIFIX, it's actually pretty simple. You pop the top, connect it to a computer, go to the website, and turn the screws on the top until it's centered again. I think when I did it initially it took like 2 minutes, and the hardest part was finding the controller testing site. The Hell Effect version is a bit more complicated. Now before I show this in action, I want to be clear, the controller comes calibrated out of the box. This is something I verified with support, so it's entirely possible you'll never need to do this process. Still, I want to see how bad it was. And overall, it really wasn't that bad, but I wouldn't say it was good either. While their guide video helped a lot, it only seemed to work right when I used Chrome. It is possible this was a quirk on my end, or they updated it long term, but if you end up having an issue, just download Chrome. As for the process, it's a bit more involved. I think this was my 10th or so attempt. I tried 2 different computers and a few browsers before moving to Chrome, plus a few more to get a good capture. Even if it looks bad, trust me, it really isn't. Plus, this video is sped up since I don't think people want to see this for like 5 minutes. At this point, I've talked about pretty much everything besides the most important thing, functionality. Now, the reason I titled this section Worth It is because of my history with technology. I don't know about anyone else, but I'll keep seeing something and then wonder if that's what I'm doing wrong. For example, back when I struggled with fighting games, I saw everyone talking about fight sticks. It made sense, arcades were a massive part of the genre, most pros end up using one, and there's a wide variety of proposed benefits. So, I bought a fight stick and it did not make a difference. I still had all my in-game issues, just with a new controller to master. And the same is basically true for pro controllers. Out of the box, you'll receive a couple immediate benefits. These include a better grip, access to various thumbsticks, and different trigger pull distance. All of these things can impact your overall experience. How much will vary, but honestly, it's more comfort than performance. For example, I don't think a 5.5mm trigger difference will change much. You might win the occasional encounter, but that's really about it. Though, in terms of comfort, it's significantly better. It's to the point where I would not go back to a regular DualSense. It's just that good of a feature. Now, the other main selling point are the 4 programmable back buttons. On a basic level, I love the placement. They happen to be where I naturally grab the controller, making it extremely easy to utilize their functionality. This corrected a big problem I had with Rival Pro, where the inner buttons were a lot harder to hit than the outer ones. Naturally, this placement is not unique to Phantom. I have a few other controllers with similar positions, but none of them can match the buttons. They are raised slightly, a good size, and have an oh so satisfying click. It basically feels like clicking a mouse. However, like I previously alluded to, there is a learning curve. You'll need to spend time implementing them into your routine and figure out the best way to utilize them. With enough practice, I do think the overall package can have a measurable impact on performance. Though, again, be realistic. No controller is going to immediately turn you from a bottom 50% player to a pro. It takes time, and there are other skills that are far more useful than having easier access to crouch. Going back to what I said at the start, the main benefit to me is comfort. One recent example happened with Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That utilizes R2 to run, and I don't think I could deal with that on a normal controller. Thankfully, there is a toggle, though it would still stuck with that volleyball minigame. So what I ended up doing was setting one of the back buttons to R2 and just held it down. It made the hard version far more doable. I mean, it still sucked, but it was far more doable. Now, it goes without saying I could remap the controls. Even if the game itself lacks this feature, I can change it on the PS5 OS itself, but that is a significant hassle. I honestly do similar things with the First Descendant. Even as it's so broken, I can set the left button to activate her skill, set another one for a main attack, and literally truly levels with one hand. To me, things like this are the main benefit. It really opens doors to making certain tasks a lot easier. Before getting to the conclusion, I really wanted to highlight the various improvements HexGaming made with Phantom, as they are so great I wouldn't consider any of their other DualSense controllers. On a basic level, the button placement really is a massive step forward. Rival Pro might be easier to hit one, though I'd rather have improved access to both. Also, I'm sorry, it's just really hard to show this. I also love that they use a different texture with the grip to combat wear. It unfortunately doesn't feel as good, but I'd rather have slightly more coarse texture to it looking terrible after a few uses. Even a lot of minor things were corrected. Unlike Rival Pro, this one fits on the official Sony docking station, to vastly improving presentation. I don't just mean packaging, though even that was improved, but look at the different thumbstick holders. The old one simply doesn't look like a premium product. And it didn't just look bad, I could easily rub off the HexGaming logo. That's why the bottom part is kind of rubbed off already. Anyway, I think HexGaming's Phantom controller is in the best possible spot. It might not be perfect, but most of the downsides are inherent of DualSense or personal preference. DualSense Edge has exclusive PS5 features, PDP's Victrix Pro BFG is modular, Razer's Wolverine has its own shape, and even Knock-On makes one where you can adjust the weight. And for this reason, I don't think the question really is should you buy HexGaming Phantom specifically, but rather does a Pro controller make sense in the first place. In my case, I absolutely think it's worth the investment. I've gone back to my regular DualSense a couple of times, and I'll outright admit it, I feel like I've been spoiled. It just doesn't feel as good, and it's crazy how much of a difference the little things make. Sony simply offering a rubberized grip like Microsoft alone would go far. I also think the additional benefits have value, even for those who don't play PvP. Most of the time I set my back buttons for things that are awkward or annoying. I simply rather hold one than run in Claire or use L1 in the First Descendant. In all honesty, where you might see the most value is the Hall Effect thumbsticks themselves. For some, it's going to work very similar to the Boots Fury. You figure another DualSense starts at 75, with a nicer design hitting 85. You get a second controller or end up replacing two of them, and it's the same price as Rival Pro or Victrix Pro. If it happens again, that's basically a DualSense Edge or Phantom, just with none of the extra benefits. Whether this is worth the investment will vary. Ultimately, that is something only you can say, but in the event you do choose HexGaming, they were kind enough to offer a promo code. If you use Admiral Vic at checkout, you can save 5% on this or any of their various Pro controllers. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and for more content, please subscribe.